I have heard more than a couple people talk about this little beauty lately. This is my phone, and a lot of the times my primary photo and video camera, and it should be yours too, because the best camera in the world is the one that you have with you. But specifically, I want to talk about which camera you really should be using. Now, I have an iPhone 14 Pro, so it is the Pro version, but it's a couple years old now, so it's not like this is the latest and greatest of everything. But we have this front-facing camera, right? The selfie camera, that is largely referred to as the worst camera. Because on the back, we have this beautiful 3-lens camera array with multiple image sensors and all sorts of good stuff going on there. So this is widely regarded as the higher quality camera because it is. On a spec sheet, just because it gives you more megapixels doesn't mean it's necessarily better. There are some downsides to using this camera. Mainly, if you're shooting yourself, you can't see yourself. There's no screen back here to see yourself on. That only exists on this side. So ease of use wise, the front-facing camera is better, objectively. There's also a little piece of gear that I've seen a couple people review. It's a little screen that kind of magnetizes to the back of your iPhone, and it gives you a live feed of what's happening on your screen, only pointed the opposite way. So you can pop that on there, you buy a little piece of gear, and you can use this higher quality camera and still be able to see yourself. So that kind of solves the problem. But it's another piece of gear, it's extra cash to spend, and it takes up more room in your pocket. Personally, I ain't sold on it. But I'm not sure which camera is really better to use. Are the ease of life conveniences with the front-facing camera, are those worth the sacrifice or degradation in video quality? Or is there degradation in video quality? We're going to run an experiment today, and pretty soon we're going to be cutting to a real-world example of both of these cameras. Me, myself, and I sitting in the same seat, located in the same place, and I'm going to want you to tell me if you see a difference, number one, and if you do see a difference, which one do you prefer? I'm not expecting a huge difference in quality. I have 8 megapixel cameras that produced images that I was able to print 3 feet by 4 feet, hang on a wall. They look gorgeous. This camera is still 12 megapixels, and it gives you all that you need to shoot a high quality, sharp, rich 4K video. So is the extra pixel quality, pixel density, actually worth the trade-off or the gear purchase to be able to see yourself while you're using these? I'm really not sold on it. I'm really not sure. Let's take a look. So here we are, perfectly reasonable setting just outside my house. We're in the shade. We have some nice diffused light. Now, come on. If we were inside the studio where we had complete control over our lighting, things would probably look amazing no matter what camera you use. But this comparison isn't for me. Like, we don't shoot in normal studio situations. You're shooting in an office or in your home or when you're out on location at an open house or you just stepped outside to get some fresh air. So that's this. We're outside getting some fresh air on our iPhone 14 Pro in cinematic mode on the front or rear facing camera. Can you tell? Well, we kind of need something to compare it to. So we'll just call this camera 1, and we're going to switch a little bit. And I want you to tell me down in the comments before the end of this video, which camera is better? Or can you tell a difference at all? Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. Here we are on our iPhone 14 Pro, still in cinematic mode on the front or rear facing camera. You don't know, we're calling it camera 2. Which one do you like better? Can you tell a difference? Is this better? Is this worse? Do we really know? Are all those megapixels and differences that we see on the spec sheet actually coming through in a real use case scenario? Do you need extra gear to use the back camera so you can see yourself? Is the front camera just fine for you? I'm not sure. As I speak to you, haven't seen any of this footage yet. So let's keep this in mind. We'll head back inside. I'm going to get this into the edit, And then we'll run a quick outro as future me dissects these pixels and sees if there's actually any usable benefit to using the back camera as opposed to the front camera. Okay, future me coming to you, and my conclusion is use whatever the heck camera you want and focus on the message that you're delivering to that camera. That's what's going to generate revenue for you and your business. If you want to get really nitpicky, sure. Camera 2, that was the rear-facing camera, the higher quality one. Camera 2 did have slightly more pleasing and less harsh skin tones and skin definition. The background was more successfully blurred. Don't get me wrong, they are not optically blurring the background here. You need big professional cameras and lenses to be able to do that. So on the phone, they're doing it all with software. It's computational photography and videography when you kick it into portrait or cinematic mode. So yeah, the background looked a little bit more pleasing from the rear camera because it's actually using multiple lenses to create that effect as opposed to computationally doing it off of one lens. But this is really nitpicky stuff. The front camera gave me an ultra clear 4K image. This video has been exported in 4K, by the way. So if you want to blow it up on your screen, you're seeing the full thing. This is more than good enough. Better than my first DSLR cameras I ever used for photography. The front-facing camera I'm talking about. The rear-facing camera, is it better? Sure. But it looks much better on a spec sheet than it does in real life. In a real life use case scenario, the amount of pixel peeping that is happening here to try to find these differences is not going to happen from anybody who's actually viewing your content. They want to see you. They want to hear you. They want your message, and you want them to get that message. So use whatever camera makes it easier for you to make your videos, because the difference between the two, in my opinion, that extra gear purchase is not warranted. I'm going to stick to using my front-facing camera when I'm out and about, because at the end of the day, I know what I have to say is far more interesting than the slight difference between blurriness and my background.